It's the 80s Experience on FM 88.5 KSBR with J.J. Buchanan. He is the member of the 80s The Specials group. Also, he is a part of the Roddy Radiation. Mr. Roddy Bryars, how you doing today, Roddy?
I'm fine, thank you. It's nice to be over here again. It's been a year since we've been in LA, so it's nice to see a bit of sunshine for a change. It was snowing when I left home.
Yeah, it must be nice to be out here in Southern California compared to, well, I guess pretty much anywhere.
Well, I say England's a bit cold and damp at the moment, anyway.
I hear you. So, how did you start your career, Roddy? Like, what bands really influenced you growing up?
Well, a lot of different people, I suppose. And I started off with my first band I liked when I was probably about 11 or 12 was the Monkees, of all people. I used to have a Peter Talk hairdo and everything, like that, pre-Ramones, pudding bass and haircut, you know. From there I got into Hendrix and all the rock stuff, and then it was the glam rock stuff, Bowie and T-Rex and Slade and all those kind of bands, Alice Cooper. And then the punk thing came along, I got into that, and then through the punk thing I got into reggae and ska and joined the Specials, and the rest is history.
How did you guys come up with the band name The Specials? I just think it's kind of an odd name for a ska band.
I think it was a bit like the Miracles, or all those different vocal groups that had names that were sort of like where you sort of blow your own trumpet kind of names. It's sort of the Miracles, all those kind of Supremes. I guess it was sort of, in a way, it was a Mickey take, I suppose, because by calling ourselves Special when we weren't nobody at the time, it was kind of a tongue-in-cheek thing, you know.
Okay, all right. And how did you guys get that first recording contract as the Specials? How did that all come about?
Well, so we toured with The Clash. That was our first major break. And from there, we sort of, it kind of took off after that. About a year later, like, we just played in clubs all around the UK. And it was other pop stars that got into us, like Elvis Costello, The Pretenders, and The Clash. And then the press picked up on us, and we got the record deals offered us. So even like Mick Jagger came along to see us and tried to get us signed to Rolling Stones Records in them days, which we turned down because Jerry Dan was our leader, wanted our own label so we could pick our own bands and have like a movement, not just like the one band, And we signed the Selector, Madness, and The Beat, and all them bands. So it was more unity thing,
Right. Okay. And did Elvis Costello produce the band's debut EP?
Yeah, he did the first album. Yeah.
Okay. How did you guys get together with him?
Well, he came to a lot of our shows. He kept turning up at shows, and he offered to do it. So he was very much into what we were doing. And he'd done that song "Watching the Detectives," which was like reggae bass. So that's what he was into at the time. He seemed the best person to do it because he understood what we were getting at.
Very cool, very cool. And I know, Roddy, on that the band's debut album, you came up with the great song "Concrete Jungle." How did you come up with that great tune?
Well, I had that song sort of, from my band, the Wild Boys, and I sort of took it into the Specials, and it became one of the Specials anthems, I guess. It was about when I lived in Coventry. It was a bit of a rough area. It was just about walking home from the pubs and clubs, sort of, and getting, I don't know, mugged or beaten up or whatever, So it's that kind of thing.
Okay, and let me look on my list here. How did you guys come up with the tune "Gangsters"?
We were our first trip abroad. The Clash's manager, Bernie Rhodes, set up these gigs in Paris, and it didn't go too well. It wasn't very well organised, and it ended up. We were staying in a hotel in Paris. And the Damned had stayed there, the punk band The Damned had stayed there the week before, and they were on playing the same club and that. So the management wanted us to pay for that. They hadn't paid their bill when they left. They'd smashed the hotel up. So they wanted us to pay for their bill and the damage before we paid our bill, because we didn't have a lot of money. So they took our guitars off us, and said they wouldn't give us our guitars back until we'd paid the bill. So we got the manager of the club to get his guys to go and get our guitars back, and they were sort of gangsters, and they had a gun and all sorts. So we got our guitars back, and we wrote a song about it. It was a learning experience, like rock and roll boot camp almost,
Now, a tune that was off of that album that was a part of the motion picture soundtrack here in the States of the movie 16 Candles with the great groovy little track called Little Bitch.
Oh, right, yeah.
Love that track.
Well, Jerry Dammers wrote he wrote quite a lot of the material. Me and Jerry were the main songwriters at the time. And Little Bitch was... Because Jerry didn't do very well with the ladies, sort of... he didn't seem to do very well, so he had a bit of a take on women, which wasn't very, I don't know, what's the word for it nowadays?
Pleasing.
Yeah. But it goes down great. A lot of girls love the song. I guess it could be taken for a little bitch, could be a little guy as well. You know what I mean? It wouldn't necessarily be anti-feminine or whatever.
Or a little dog or something like that. You never know.
Yeah. But it's quite funny because the intro riff to that song is like very close to Brown Sugar. Mick Jagger thought about that. But
oh, really? Oh, that's funny.
Yeah.
Huh, never put those two together. All right.
Yeah,
I'll have to listen to it again.
Well, I suppose most of us were sort of like Stones fans, so like, a lot of things stick in your head and you don't realise that you've pinched a bit from here and there occasionally.
Right. And the great tune, Roddy, one of my personal favorites was the tune Ghost Town.
Ghost Town?
Yes.
Yeah, that's probably our sort of penultimate song, I guess. So that's been used in so many films, and it's the kind of song that probably will be remembered for forever, I guess. Jerry Dammers' tune. It was about I know over here in America when they were showing the riots in Britain at the time when the song came out, they used Ghost Town as a soundtrack. So it was just about what we saw on tour around England, how things were pretty bad, economically, and people were out of work, and the kids got angry and places got burned down,
Right, okay, yeah, like all the unemployment that was happening there and all the riots and all that stuff, yeah.
Yeah, and, Margaret Thatcher wasn't very good to poor people.
Right.
But, so we always made a sort of political stance, anti-racist, and, obviously, being to a multiracial band, that was very important to us. The rise of the National Front and other right-wing groups in Britain at the time.
And Roddy, how did you guys come up with that great tune, Rat Race?
And so with Rat Race, which was a top 10 hit in the UK and Europe, I wrote that about... I used to drink in the local college bar because the beer was cheaper. But I overheard some rich kids talking about the jobs that their parents had got lined up for them when they left college. And to me, I thought, they didn't really need to be at college. It'd been better than some poor people who had their places to better themselves because they already had things lined up for them,
Right.
So it was that kind of, which is, nowadays in the UK, it's even worse because to actually get a decent education, it costs you a lot of money. So it's getting to the stage where only the wealthy can afford to be educated.
Yeah.
So that's what the song was about.
Yeah, I hear you. And then, Roddy, during the 1990s, you got back together to form the Specials too. But what are you currently working on right now, Roddy? And tell me about this Roddy Radiation thing.
Well, Roddy Radiation is a nickname that my brother gave me.
Uh-huh.
When I was like a fan of Ziggy Stardust, David Bowie stuff. So he used to call me Roddy Radiation as a joke. So when the punk thing came in, I started using the names. Everybody had these silly monikers at the time, like Sid Vicious or Johnny Rotten or whatever. So and so what I'm doing now is Scarborough Rebels, which is what I've been working on for donkey's years. Sort of a crossover music of rockabilly and ska with a punk sort of backbeat to it occasionally, and that's going pretty well. It's a lot of it's crossing over. A lot of rockabilly bands have been covering my songs recently, which is nice to know. And the ska audiences dig it, and the punks like it, and the mods and skinheads. So it's looking really good.
For more information on Roddy, please check out his website at roddyradiation.com. Roddy Byers from the great band, The Specials. Thank you so very much for being a part of the 80s Experience tonight. I really appreciate it, Roddy. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much.